This is a deadly business, and you really need greatness in on both sides to surmount the challenges that confront us with Israeli-Palestinian peacemaking.
Do you think that Herzog will pardon Netanyahu?
There's only one precedent. I think there may be more for a pre-conviction pardon. The law is clearly states that the president of Israel has the right to pardon an offender. That's the word that is used. So could an Israeli president, and we're talking, I was thinking about Gerald Ford and Richard Nixon here, can Isaac Herzog afford to grant a pre-conviction pardon to a man who half the country would like to see the back of him? I think it's doubtful. What he could do is offer a limited and conditional pardon in exchange for an admission of guilt, unlikely that the prime minister would agree, or a date certain for Netanyahu's exit from Israeli politics, even less likely, given the prime minister's determination to stay in power. I think if I had a bet, I would think it's unlikely that a full pardon. Herzog's unlikely to grant a full pardon.
Yeah, well, today on the Deal Book Summit, he was saying that a pardon would be good for Israel, for Israel's future. So it doesn't look like he's entertaining the idea of stepping down in exchange for the pardon.
No, on the contrary. In fact, Benjamin Netanyahu has considerable assets going into an election. He's got a relatively coherent, cohesive coalition, far more coherent than a right-to-left center coalition with key Arab parties that the next government might want to form. The Israeli economy has not suffered disastrously over the last 2 years. He has Donald Trump's support, and the opposition is divided. There is no single leader who is able to capture the imagination of the Israeli public and has the security credentials that are so prized by Israelis to challenge Netanyahu. That's, I think, part of the problem. You can't beat something. It's a standard rule of politics in the universe. You can't beat something with nothing.
Hi, I'm Pat Morrison, one of the hosts of America at a Crossroads. If you like this video, don't just watch. Head over to our website where you can subscribe for early access to new programs, see our upcoming schedules, and connect directly with our guests in our weekly live streams. Thank you for watching.
Well, why is there nothing? Because, we note that this is the 30th anniversary of the Rabin assassination. There was once a left in Israeli politics. Why isn't there anyone to credibly challenge Netanyahu?
I mean, I think you ask an extraordinarily important question. I mean, I would argue to you that there's a dearth of greatness in politics from one end of the planet to the other. I think the Mandelas, the de Gaulles, the Sadats, the Begins, the King Husseins, the Rabins, they're gone. I'm not sure I can identify a single leader in the world today that has that kind of stature. And Israeli politics is a cruel and unforgiving place. Israel is a center-right country. You have Israelis who were born, it's the 30th year after Rabin's assassination, who are not familiar at all with the potential possibilities that were inherent in the late 80s and during that fateful decade of the 1990s. That's not in their ken, that's not in their experience. So I think Israeli leadership patterns like Palestinian leadership patterns, the Palestinian leadership crisis is even worse, frankly. It's tough to imagine. Now, leaders can be born created, and we shouldn't doubt for a moment the importance of human agency. I think it was Marx, not Groucho, the other one, basically who wrote in the 19th century, so forgive me here, 19th century, he wrote that men make history, but rarely as they please. It's the interaction between human agency and circumstance that explains, in my judgment, why things happen. And on the Israeli-Palestinian front, even in the Middle East, I don't see a single leader that is both good and great, both good and great. And I think that really is a challenge because, as we know about peacemaking in the Arab-Israeli context, it's an existential proposition. Sadat paid for his life. Rabin paid for his peace process policies with his life as well. I remember at Camp David 25 years ago, at July, Arafat and Barak, who only met 3 times, but I heard Arafat say several times that you will not get a chance to walk behind my coffin at his funeral. And I think that legacy, historical legacy, hangs heavy. This is a deadly business, and you really need greatness on both sides to surmount the challenges that confront us with Israeli-Palestinian peacemaking.
Next week, December 10th at 5 p.m. Pacific, we will welcome the Dean of UC Berkeley School of Law, Erwin Chemerinsky, who will be in conversation with Warren Olney on the topic, The Constitution in Crisis, What's at Stake for American Democracy. And as you probably all know, Erwin Chemerinsky is one of the great constitutional law scholars in the country, so you're going to be sure to tune in and be with us.